Hello, welcome to the Global Gaming Women Fair Game Podcast. We are here today, Lauren and myself, in the Light and Wonder podcast studio again. Today, we are so excited to introduce a very relevant and kind of serious topic, which is a little bit outside of our zone, so it's kind of exciting. So, Lauren, you want to tell us a little bit about what we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, we have to mention our earrings. I think we're really on it today. I am outfitted by Kate, so thank you for that.
They're magenta fuchsia. Mm-hmm. So, and we're all pink because we're here talking about this.
Yeah. So today we're going to address the topic of breast cancer, and it's more than just a statistic. It's a reality that countless women face every day. And I think in this episode, we're going to not only just explore the personal battles, but we're also going to talk about the triumphs and the ongoing fight against breast cancer and what these wonderful women experience every day. And I think we're going to hit on the importance of awareness and support. And I think, whether you're directly affected by breast cancer or you're just wanting to learn more on how you can support, I think this episode and this conversation is definitely for you.
Yeah. And I think this is a long overdue episode. We were super excited. We've been planning this for a long time. My GGW circle happened to have one of our guests today. So it brings it all back together, and we're excited for her to come and share her story along with our other guest. But really, I mean, just to give you like the numbers, right? We talked about stats, but if you think about it, the American Cancer Society notes that over 300,000 women a year are going to be diagnosed with some form of breast cancer, which is
startling number.
Yeah, it's hurt. And if you break down the percentage, the estimate is that it will account for 30% of all new cancer diagnoses in women in 2024. Mm-hmm. So definitely relevant, definitely hits a ton of us, a personal connection. My stepmom actually went through it when I was in high school. She did the full chemo, full everything. And at the time, I was young. I didn't realize kind of what was happening. But watching her transform, right? Because I think that's really what we talk about, and we're going to get into today a lot with our guests, is it's a lot about the struggle. It's about family. It's about how you manage it, but also how you come out in the end and the change in how you transform. And luckily, my stepmom was able to come out healthy and riled up as all be. And it's a great message to say, like, she really learned who she was through that period. So I think we're going to hear a lot of that resonate today. So
I think partly you learned who you are too, right? You were young and this was shaping your journey too. And what you experienced is not dramatic, but yeah, kind of, right? Like,
it's impactful.
Yeah.
Especially at that age, you're, depending on kind of when you see these things and how close you are to it, right? And how your reaction and what it means to them. I think I had to grow up quite a bit, really quick to figure out how to support that. So very interesting. And obviously nobody wants to have to go through that, but I do think it shapes the person and everyone around them. So there's a lot to be said for that. And I think we're really going to visit that today.
Yeah. And I think because we hear these numbers, obviously, I think we all know someone. I mean, sitting here right now, you've just told us about your mom, and we're going to interview two incredible ladies that have been directly affected. I haven't been directly affected by breast cancer, but, recently a family member of mine was diagnosed with cancer. And, we went through that journey with her and recovery. And we were very lucky because of early detection, and we were able to take care of what we need to take care of very fast. And, the healing journey was really our focus. And how do we make sure she's at the top of her game again? And like I said, early detection, we're incredibly lucky because we were able to just do surgery and get it, and get her back on the healing road.
Hear a lot of that today, right? Educate yourself. How can we do early detection? How can we talk about it? How can we make it more of a, it's topical right now, and there's no reason not to talk about it. Yeah, it's serious, and yeah, it sucks, but we're going to get it out there and have a real conversation. And that's what we really need to do.
Yeah. And that's exactly the point of the podcast and why we wanted to do this. Right. And even though this is a difficult conversation to have, it's really important because it will help with early detection and being aware. So
yeah, let's do it.
I'm really honored to bring in Nichole and Brandi. I think they're both incredible ladies, and we've known them both for a while. And I think that their story and their journey is going to touch a lot of people. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Bring them in. Welcome to the studio, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here today, Lauren and I, with Brandi, Ellis, and Nichole Hansen. Thank you so much for coming in studio. Lauren and I are very excited. This topic has been on our minds for a long time, and we were really lucky to have two folks who want to come forward and share their journey with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, we deeply appreciate this. I think this is we know it's going to be a really vulnerable episode, and we're here for you, and we just want to have a conversation with you and inform as many people about your journeys, and so maybe they can learn something along the way. And we talked a lot about early detection and things like that, and so we can't wait to hear your journeys, and we're here for you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
We did curate a few questions, of course, because that's, hey, we pod the right way, right? So, but feel free at any point to let us know or just skip if it's something that you're uncomfortable with, whatever it might be, okay? So we're going to get started with Nichole. First question. Can you share your initial reaction when you were diagnosed with breast cancer?
Yeah. So my initial diagnosis, like I've shared with you, Kate, was quite shocking to me. I think it mainly was shocking to me because I didn't have a family history of breast cancer. You know, like I had my initial first mammogram in 2020, and there was something on the mammogram, but I was assured that it was nothing. So, you know, went about my way 2 more years, come back during the pandemic, and my GP had like actually proactively ordered an ultrasound, which now I look back and I'm very grateful for that. Because it was actually the ultrasound that found the tumor. But yeah, the actual diagnosis was quite shocking. The way it was delivered was quite shocking.
Horrible.
Yeah. So it wasn't even my GP. It was kind of a delay in the biopsy, and then I actually got the phone call at work, and I was here. You know, so it's one of those things where like being triggered or having that news at work. That's
Very aware of your surroundings.
Pretty rough. Yeah. So yeah, very aware. But you know, as I said to Kate, like the hardest part, honestly, is having to tell your family. You know.
Yeah. And to honestly tell you, like, so Nichole and I are in a GGW circle together. So no shameful drop there. But so we went through this experience with her, and it was very, it shook us all up. Right. And I think that's really important and we're going to get into a lot about support systems and the story that she told us originally. We were so mad. All of us were so mad for her. So we were really glad to be there throughout the whole process. And there's a lot more to come. But yes, I totally agree. It was very shaking, especially from a work perspective.
Yeah. And just to, you know, add on to that, like I'm a single working parent too. So that triggered one of my biggest fears. It's not being there, you know?
Yeah. For your son. Yeah. And all of us, I think like anytime we go through anything scary like that, right? That's the first thing we think of is our family. Yeah. Huge. Thank you for sharing that. Brandi, let's keep going here. How did you navigate the treatment process? Because we understand it's pretty difficult. And what were the most challenging aspects for you personally?
So I think I'll take it in reverse order. The most challenging was during the pandemic. So I was diagnosed in May of 2020. So we were on lockdown. All the casinos were closed. Hospitals were only essential treatment plans and such, which in hindsight actually probably got me cared for more rapidly because of, you know,
no other things scheduled.
Nothing else scheduled. There were no, you know, augmentations happening and things like that. So it was really essential surgeries. So I was able to get in. I was diagnosed May 13th. I had double mastectomy, you know, June 5th.
Wow. Fast.
Casinos reopened June 6th. And so that goes into sort of the professional navigation of everything. We were working from home still because I was in a corporate role. So that made it easier. If you can think about any of this being easy, it made it easier because I was able to work from home as I went through everything. But navigating it both professionally and personally, there was hardly any lines there. It was very blurred because we were all at home. Yeah. My kids were online school. My husband was at home too. We were all there. So it was good and bad. You get I went from, you know, an OBGYN, one doctor, to dozens of doctors, literally, remember, overnight.
Yeah, a bunch.
And so trying to navigate that is also extremely stressful and confusing and we'll talk later about advice for people and how they can hopefully get their arms around something like that notification, going from one doctor to dozens overnight.
I'm sure part of that journey is too just making sure that you're comfortable with all that, but understanding that you want care fast.
Right.
And you're just trying to, I feel good with this doctor. Does this doctor make me feel like they're going to take the best care of me? And you're like, well, wait, I want it done fast.
Yeah. Right. Balancing the fast and the how much research can I do? I'm not a trained physician, an oncologist, a surgeon, and trusting the process is really hard when it's your life on the line.
Yeah. And there's so much you don't know right at the beginning when you're diagnosed. So, when I got my initial diagnosis, I wasn't speaking to an oncologist. I was speaking to, probably a nurse practitioner. And what had shocked me is, I was supposed to go on a trip the next day and they basically said, oh, no, this is bad news. You cancel your trip, don't go. And I thought, I don't know how urgent this is, or am I going to die? Like it was very scary. So finally getting to an oncologist, and then they're like, okay, let's talk a bit more about your condition. And then you can start to plan, and then you can start to go through what your treatment and your process is. And I think once I learned that it was like, I didn't have to immediately jump into anything and I could be thoughtful and advocate for myself, that was a big change for me.
That's huge. And we're gonna talk a lot about support a lot, and back to you. I mean, because really, you didn't have a great initial experience, and you did have to both advocate for yourself and tell the story and get the real picture. How did your family and your support system, how did they do through all this?
Yeah. So lucky for me, which, I totally know that I am in a situation where I do feel fortunate because I have a large family, and they are very supportive. And so, I had a sister, or I have a sister, Cherise. She flew out many times to, she was with me through my biopsy. She came out through my radiation. My other sister supporting me through my surgery was there for that. And, like talking about, once again, being a single parent, I really needed that support because all of a sudden it's like, one of these things that just like, it was a really shocking thing is like, even just going through the biopsy, and as I'm walking out, they're like, you can't carry your purse. And I'm like, what? Like, when have I not even been able to carry a purse now? And my sister was there to do that. And so like these small things, the support was so great. And then once again, I have to plug my circle, and I want to shout out my circle, my lean-in circle, Katie, Kristen, Michelle, Sherry, like they were there. And GGW was a big support. And then, obviously too, like just other friends and women that I met who had gone through this, like Brandi, I just, instantly feel like this connection with. So huge, you know, and gather as many people as you can, honestly.
Yeah,
So,
you need a whole, I mean, we always talk about having a support system, but this, like going through the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, it's so much more than that. So we're very glad to hear that you had a big support system.
I had the best. I
Good,
did.
good. So,
She is part of the best.
She was, yeah,
oh man, we were
really.
ready to throw down. We were,
Really?
yeah. Oh, it was,
Yeah.
for a while there. Speaking of support, Brandi, tell us, because I do want to bring it back to work a little bit, because it is a big part of your, Nichole was mentioning her whole person, right? I can't carry my purse anymore. I'm so independent, and work is a big piece of that. But how was your support at work, and how was how did it impact your professional life?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. And I've pondered the answer to this because it's multifold. Again, during the pandemic, getting breast cancer, and our company was purchased by another company at the same time. During the pandemic, it closed. It closed a week after I started chemotherapy, frankly. And so you add all that together, and I had 3 teenagers at the time, 11-year-old twins and a 14-year-old son. And so you're going through all that. And again, I talked about the blurred lines a little bit ago between professional and personal. But on the professional front, I was really lucky. The company that purchased us and my immediate boss, the COO of the company, extremely supportive and had really only met me a couple of times, gave me my job offer, then I hadn't seen him again until the deal closed because of the pandemic. So deal closes, I have to tell them in advance. And that's a little tricky too, because of communications in a merger. You're not supposed to have a lot of communication. And so I took the risk. I had to call and tell them, oh, by the way, a couple weeks ago I had a mastectomy and I'm starting chemotherapy, and the deal closed a few days later. So I didn't know what was going to become. I trusted the process, and I was right for doing so. They were unbelievably amazing. I was still able to work from home, which was really helpful for everything that I was going through. And the support never wavered. They were incredible. Where I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, though, to try to get back, because I felt like I needed to be present, especially in a merger. I probably would have felt that way anyway, even had it been, the former before the merger. But the support was outstanding. It affected me a little bit in so much I haven't swung a golf club since. So there's some things that in my professional career that I've had to adjust, and I'm still grappling with that. And it's been 4 years. So those are some things that I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate. And will I get back to that place? And will I be able to swing that golf club again, or, do some of the things that I used to do?
Yeah, that's huge. The impact, the lasting impact on people. We were talking about it even yesterday. This isn't something that just happens and then it goes away in a year, it goes away in 2 years. We're talking about the lasting impacts and how, they last your life, and you have to just learn to change and be the new you and what that means.
You do. And I went, talked earlier about one doctor to dozens. I used to take a multivitamin. Now I'm on medication for, I have 7 more years of medication that I have to take. And Nichole has medication she's taking, and you have to adjust to all of that. And it's a new life, and it's legitimately not just physical, but it's mental. It's every decision you make. Should I eat that? Should I drink that? And you hear everything, and you have to navigate that and be strong.
You're processing like a new way of life. Yeah. Everything about like what you're describing is it changing everything about your daily life.
Literally.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm curious, what impactful and useful advice would you guys have? And what are your hopes for improving workplace support?
Well, personally for me, I think the first thing that I would tell everybody is just to understand that other people have different levels of empathy. There's going to be people that you can really lean on and really are supportive, but I do understand that not everybody is going to be as supportive, and just to kind of have grace for that. One thing I was really appreciative is that, I have an amazing team. They were super supportive. I'm looking at one right now. They were great. And my manager was really supportive too. And my company in general has been really wonderful to me. And I know that, once again, I'm fortunate. Not everybody has that situation. So my dream across the board is that we bring in a bit more, even maybe ERG groups that help people through these difficult situations. It might not even just be yourself. It might be that they're caretaking for a family member. Americans aren't the best at this, I'll just say. So, that's pretty much empathy.
And I think you hit that. And when we talked yesterday about this in preparation, I had a really great support group as well, albeit people in bubbles and weird time, right, with the pandemic. But I did learn the hard way that some people just don't know how to handle a diagnosis. And I felt ghosted on occasion. And my husband reminded me, he's very, very wise, but he reminded me that not everyone knows how to deal with the situation. And so their way may be just to think you need space, or to not get in your way or involved. And it's fine now. I'm back to, I guess, normal, new normal. And never had the conversation about it. But you had to learn to just forgive that in your mind and not hold it as resentment, because not everyone knows how to deal with it. But understanding that empathy I think there's many scales of empathy. And I learned that along this journey in a way that I had never thought about before. It's helped me be much more aware and in tune. And I want to pay it forward and give back and support where I can because of what I learned and what I went through.
Yeah. It sounds like you both had very strong support from both companies, but in a broader picture, like what would be your hope for policies going forward that help people that are in, serious health crises?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely think having access to mental health, being able to talk to somebody through the process, definitely second opinions are important. I think just being supportive of, just even, we were talking about like, oh, is it just breast cancer? It's not just breast cancer, it's cancer. It's these kind of diseases that they're long and they're not something you're just going to spring back from. But, I think you're able to get through that with that kind of support system. And, frankly, a lot of companies could, help there, So, for me, that I would definitely think mental health would be a great way to step up there, access to that.
Couldn't agree more. And I would only add to that, and you referenced it, the ERGs or the business resource groups, whatever they're called in your respective company. We have a lot of them around, women and many different groups. Let's get them where people can have shared experiences like Lean In, where you don't give advice, but you share experiences and have people readily available on the spot. Like if you need something, I had a really good friend, Sherry Sosa, many of you know her. She came to my consultation with my radiologist because my husband was out of town for a family illness. She came with me. So it's that kind of support that people need, because you sit in front of the doctor, you hear nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
100%,
process zero about what they're saying, other than your terrible one in the beginning. That was awful. But you don't hear it and you don't absorb it. She wrote notes, terrible handwriting, wrote notes about what the doctor said. And I went back and read it and I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
So just be a buddy. Like, there's a lot of groups out there where you just be a buddy to somebody, go to their appointment with them, help them. And companies can sponsor that. They can, big companies for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a big call to action right there.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
for the rest of us who might be watching someone or know of someone, don't be afraid to ask if you can help, right? Or ask whatever you can do. If it's as simple as taking notes or giving a ride or even just taking a phone call, right?
Yeah.
That
Send
means
a card.
so much.
Send a card.
What I found too at here, at my company too, what was super helpful is that, I had coworkers that had these experiences, and, when they found out, they were willing to come and talk to me about my experience. Or, the horrible thing about breast cancer is that, it does impact 1 in 8, and almost everybody has somebody that they've loved or some kind of impact with this disease. And I hated that fact, but it was, I could reach out and there was somebody I could talk to about their experience, about what they did for treatment. And this was so valuable. That information just went so far, just with me. So, really thank you to anybody that's willing to talk about their personal experience,
Thank you. That's why we're at this
And that-
table.
That's
That's
so
what we're doing
good.
right now.
So I think that leads us to a really good question. And frankly, this is probably a little bit of a mic dropper, but I'm very curious because how has surviving this kind of shaped your personal identity after, right? I think it's huge to talk about. We've said there's a lot of impact in the moment, but like now, if you're looking at yourselves now, where do you really see the biggest change? Nichole?
Oh,
No offense. Nichole.
You're up.
well, I think, there was that moment where, oh my gosh, I had to be really like humbled too, where you realize you're like, you know what, you're not Superwoman, and you're going to have to deal with the fact that now you get tired easier. But then it has kind of redirected my focus into like, what does my career look like moving forward, especially like when you face something like this? And in a lot of ways, we talked about this yesterday where, the worst thing that people would say is like, oh, just wait, there's going to be a gift in this, or you're going to see something like that. And when I told, what we talked about is I said, there's not a gift there, but there is growth. And the growth was like the biggest impact. So it's just how I approach things, I might get more tired and frustrated. And sometimes that kind of stuff happens because I feel differently. But, I feel like I can also face some things and, like you're saying, advocate for myself a bit more because I had to go through this really, really hard situation. So
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, Nichole wouldn't have been at this table, 2-3 years ago.
no, very
so,
shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you found your voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
How about you, Brandi?
Well, I think I'm a prime example of making a decision. I recently left my 34-year career with the company that I started with in this industry, and it was on excellent terms. It was on my terms to really prioritize my family, my health, my mental health, being able to take my son to college on Tuesday, and it happened. My daughters are sophomores, and being able to spend the time with them and guide them, I feel so blessed that I was able to make that decision. Not everybody, and for a moment you said the word humbled, and I operate with humility always. I know how grateful I should be, and I am grateful that I can do this. And it'll also allow me the time to do things like this and give back in other ways. But it was a big risk for me and a big change. And that was my identity for the last 34 years in that career. There's not a day that goes by since May 13th of 2020 that I don't think about having cancer. Mm-hmm. Not a day. You just can't. You can hide it. You would look at me and not know if you didn't know me and I wasn't talking about it. Mm-hmm. It's not going to define me. It's redefining me. And that's something that I try to remember and put in perspective every day.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, Nichole, you said something that that you're not a superhero anymore, and
I disagree.
I'm gonna call it that you both are superheroes. I mean, look at what journeys you've been through and how powerful and impactful it's not only been to your personal life but your professional life. But the growth that you both experienced and the people that you are today, it really molded you, and you're both so inspirational. And this has just been such an impactful conversation.
And honestly, a lot of what we wanted to do was just hear the stories and understand what you guys went through, because I think there's a lot more, individuals out there that needed to hear this, but also, so it's okay to talk about it. So we're going to spend some time and we're going to share some resources, and we're going to make this a real, no, I'm going to get emotional. We're going to make this a real thing, because this is what we made this podcast about, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you ladies coming forward says a ton for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we're so sad because we're not sad. I guess we're happy.
We're happy.
We're happy. Yeah. This is we wanted to make our last episode of the season an impactful one, and so we really thank you for helping us do that. And I know Lauren and I are staring at each other like, okay, I guess we're done with this one. But...
And thank you so much for being open to that opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, and so we're gonna definitely send out some information. We're gonna crowdsource a little bit. We're gonna have some great context about how we can all help each other a lot more with this. So thank you, everyone. That's gonna
reach out.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're in the database. You can find us.
Yeah.
You can just reach out if we can do it. I'm not meaning to speak for you, but we talked about this.
100%.
Anything we can do.
Yeah. Like Brandi said, if you're newly diagnosed, you need somebody to talk to, happy to talk to anybody, so.
Yeah. And reach out to us at fairgame at globalgamingwomen.org, and we would be happy to put you guys into contact and get you some resources, whoever might need anything. That's what we're all about. So
thank you. You ladies are incredible. And my PIC, I can't believe this is the end of season 1. This is so crazy. This has been a really cool journey. I think we've learned a lot, and big shout out to Anika and Brahman, who I know aren't here today, but have been along this entire journey with us. And we have learned a lot. And I think we have some ideas and some really cool things in store for us for season 2. And we're going to be back. You're going to see us at G2E. We're going to do some podcasts, and we're going to have a tiny mic. And I can't wait for that, because that's going to be my favorite part. And then you'll see us at events, obviously, kick up your heels and all those things. And, I think for me, the most impactful process in learning and going on this journey has been building relationships and better friendships, if that's possible, and how it can get better. But also hearing stories like what we heard today, and being able to share them so that people can learn along with us. And I've learned a lot.
Yeah,
This has
and
been-
so many laughs and now some tears. So
Yeah.
thank you. And I think we have some amazing content already for next season. So keep listening, and we'll see you ladies and everyone else out there in season 2.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Great.